Captain Kim Tae-ho stared at the warning lights flashing red across his control panel. The Soul's Dream shook violently as another system failed. His small exploration ship was dying around him, and he was very far from home. "Come on, girl," he whispered to his ship. "Just a little longer." But the engine core gave one final shudder and went silent. The lights dimmed. The air recyclers stopped humming. In the cold darkness of space, Tae-ho was now drifting toward a field of spinning asteroids that would crush his ship like an egg. He had been mapping stars in the outer rim for 3 months. It was lonely work, but someone had to find new routes for Earth's growing fleet. The job paid well, and Tae-ho enjoyed the piece of empty space. Now that piece might kill him. His fingers moved quickly over the emergency controls. The backup power cells had maybe 6 hours left. His distress beacon was working, but the nearest human outpost was 2 weeks away. The asteroids would reach him in 4 hours. Tae-ho opened his personal log one last time. Day 93. Engine failure in the Kepler 442 system. If anyone finds this, tell my sister Mi-young that I kept her picture on my dashboard until the end. Tell her I wasn't afraid. But he was afraid. Not of dying, but of never seeing home again. Of never eating his mother's soup or walking in Seoul's rain. Of becoming just another missing ship in the vast darkness. The asteroids grew larger outside his window. Some were as big as mountains, spinning slowly in their deadly dance. Beautiful and terrible at the same time. Then his sensors picked up something impossible. A ship was coming toward him. But it wasn't human. The design was completely strange, long and curved like a piece of art, made of something that looked like crystal. It moved without any visible engines, gliding through space like a fish through water. Tae-ho's heart raced. First contact with an alien species was supposed to happen at Earth, with diplomats and scientists ready. Not with one scared captain floating near an asteroid field. The crystal ship came closer. It was beautiful in a way that made Tae-ho's chest tight. Patterns of light moved under its surface like slow lightning. It was 3 times bigger than his own ship, but felt somehow gentle. His radio crackled. The sounds that came through were like music, soft tones that rose and fell like a song. Then, after a moment, a voice spoke in broken English. "Human ship do are in danger, we . Tae-ho's hands shook as he reached for his microphone. "This is Captain Kim Tae-ho of the Earthship Soul's Dream. Who are you?" More musical sounds then. "We are . Delani, you hurt? Ship . Dockin'? Yes, my engines are dead. I can't move away from the asteroids." There was a long pause filled with gentle music. Then the voice returned, sounding more sure. "We . Take you safe place, yes. You trust? Trust?" Tae-ho looked at his power readings. 5 hours left. The asteroids filled his view now, a wall of spinning death. He had no choice, but somehow he felt no fear about these musical strangers. "Yes, I trust you." What happened next was like magic. The crystal ship moved above him, and suddenly Tae-ho felt his ship being lifted. Not pulled by cables or grabbed by metal arms, but lifted by something he couldn't see. His ship rose gently away from the asteroids, carried in invisible hands. The Villani ship guided him to a clear area of space, far from danger. Then Tae-ho watched in wonder as smaller crystal vessels came out from the main ship. They moved around. His damaged engine like doctors around a patient. "We . Fix," the voice said. "Take time, you come inside, safe . Warm." Tae-ho had never left his ship in unknown space before. But these beings had just saved his life. They could have destroyed him easily if they wanted. Instead, they offered help. "Okay, I'm coming over." A tube of light connected the 2 ships. Tae-ho stepped into it and felt himself gently pulled across space. The inside of the Villani ship was unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls were made of the same crystal material, but they glowed with soft colors that changed slowly. The air smelled like flowers after rain. Everything curved and flowed like it had grown instead of being built. 2 Villani waited for him. They stood on 2 legs like humans, but that was where the similarity ended. Their bodies were tall and thin, made of living crystal that caught and bent light. Where humans had faces, they had arrangements of glowing gems that pulsed with different colors. They were beautiful in a way that made Tejo want to cry. "Welcome," one of them said. This time the English was much better. "I am Elder Velanara. This is Captain Velthan. You are safe now." "Thank you," Tejo said, and his voice cracked. "Thank you for saving me." "But why? You don't know me. You don't know humans." The crystals in Elder Velanara's face pulsed with warm golden light. "Life is precious, all life. When we heard your fear in the dark, we had to help. It is our way." Captain Velthan's crystals flickered with cooler blue light. "Not all my people agreed. We have hidden from other races for a long time. Many said helping you was dangerous, but Elder Velanara said one life saved is worth any risk." Tejo felt tears on his cheeks. "Your people argued about saving me?" "Yes," Elder Velanara said gently. "But I am old, and I have learned that kindness is never wrong, even if it brings trouble later." They showed him to a room where he could rest while they repaired his ship. The walls showed images of Villani worlds, crystal cities that grew. Like gardens, peaceful people who spent their time making music from light itself. They had no weapons, no armies. They lived by helping each other and seeking beauty in all things. "How many of you are there?" Tejo asked. 50,000, Captain Velthan said. "We were once many more, but other races. They did not understand our ways. They took our people for slaves, destroyed our cities. We learned to hide, to stay away from the galaxy's anger." Tejo felt sick. These gentle beings had been hurt by others who should have protected them, and now they were risking themselves again to help him. Over the next 2 days, the Villani worked on his ship. They used their crystal technology to rebuild his engines. Better than before. They gave him food that tasted like sunlight and water that sparkled with energy. They shared their music, their stories, their hope that the universe could be a kinder place. When his ship was ready, Elder Velanara gave him a small crystal no bigger than his thumb. "This is harmonic crystal," she said. "It will help your ship run better, but more important, it will remember us. And maybe, if your people are as kind as you, it will help them remember us too." Tejo held the crystal carefully. It was warm and hummed with a soft song. "I will tell them about you, about what you did for me." "Be careful," Captain Velthan warned. "Galaxy is a dangerous place. Many would want our crystals, our technology. If wrong people find us, ... I understand. But I have to tell them something. You saved my life? That means everything to humans." Elder Velanara's crystals glowed brighter. "Then maybe there is hope. Maybe universe has room for friendship after all." As Tejo prepared to leave, he looked back at the crystal ship one more time. These people had risked everything to save one stranger. They had given him not just his life, but faith that good still existed in the dark. "I won't forget," he promised. The soul's dream jumped to hyperspace, carrying its captain home. Behind him, the Villani watched until his ship disappeared among the stars. Elder Velanara turned to Captain Velthan. "Do you think we did right?" "I think," Velthan said slowly, "that we are about to find out what humans do when someone shows them kindness." Neither of them could imagine the storm of ships that would soon fill their peaceful sky. 3 weeks later, Captain Kim Tejo's ship appeared at the edge of Bizan Station. The massive space station hung in orbit around humanity's furthest colony world like a metal moon. It was home to 50,000 people and the headquarters of Earth's frontier defense. Tejo felt strange coming back to human space. The station looked smaller than he remembered. After seeing the beautiful crystal ships of the Villani, human technology seemed rough and ugly. But it was home and he was grateful to see it. "Soul's dream requesting docking permission," he said into his radio. "Permission granted, Captain Kim. Welcome back." "You're 3 days late. Everyone was worried." Tejo smiled sadly. 3 days late. If only they knew how close he had come to never returning at all. Admiral Park Min-soo was waiting for him at the docking bay. The old man had been Tejo's commander for 5 years. His face was hard from too many battles, but his eyes were kind. "Good to see you, son," Admiral Park said, shaking Taeho's hand. "Your sister called twice asking about you. She was worried sick. I'm sorry, sir. I had some trouble with my engines." Admiral Park looked at the Soul's Dream. The ship looked better than new. The hull was shinier. The engine ports glowed with a soft light that wasn't there before. Some repair job. Where did you get work like that done?" Taeho took a deep breath. "That's what I need to tell you about, sir. All of it. But you're not going to believe me." An hour later, Admiral Park sat in his office staring at the small crystal in his hands. It hummed softly and felt warm against his skin. Around them, the best scientists on the station were studying readings from Taeho's ship. "Let me understand this," Admiral Park said slowly. "Crystal people saved your life. They fixed your ship with technology we don't understand. And they gave you this. Yes, sir? And they're in danger from some empire that wants to make them slaves, the Korthik Empire." "That's what they told me." Admiral Park set the crystal down. Carefully. "Taeho, this little rock is putting out more energy than our main reactor. Dr. Wang says if we could copy it, we could power entire cities with something the size of a coin." "They didn't know how valuable it was, sir. They just wanted to help? 50,000 beings with technology like this, and they're all alone out there." "Yes, sir." Admiral Park was quiet for a long time. He had fought in the Centauri Wars, where humans learned that the galaxy was not a friendly place. Most alien species saw humanity as young and weak. Some had tried to destroy human colonies before they could grow strong, but these Villani were different. They had helped a stranger for no reason except kindness. "I'm sending your report to Fleet Command," Admiral Park said finally. "This is bigger than anything I can decide." The message traveled through space at the speed of light, jumping from relay station to relay station until it reached Earth. Fleet Commander Lee. Dae-Yoon read it in her office overlooking the blue and white planet where humanity began. Commander Lee was a small woman with steel in her eyes. She had commanded fleets in 3 wars and never lost a battle. When she read Taeho's report, she called for her senior staff immediately. "Gentlemen, ladies," she said to the room full of officers, "we have a situation." General Bae Seung-ho, head of the Marines, spoke first. 50,000 beings with advanced technology. If this Korthik Empire captures them, they'll have weapons we can't match. "That's not the point," said Dr. Choi Soo-jin, the fleet's science advisor. "I've run analysis on Captain Kim's biological scans. The Villani are dying out. Their population is too small. They need genetic diversity to survive." Admiral Lim Ji-won, commander of the Terra Fleet, leaned forward. "So we're talking about protecting the last members of an entire species." "Who saved one of our people when they didn't have to?" Commander Lee added. "Read the report again?" They argued among themselves about helping him. Some wanted to stay hidden, but they chose to help anyway. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. Dr. Song Haijin, the fleet's strategic planner, pulled up a star map. "The Villani worlds are here, in the Vila sector. It's 3 weeks from our nearest base. If we're going to help them, we need to move fast." "What are we talking about here?" General Bae asked. "A rescue mission? A diplomatic contact?" Commander Lee stood up and walked to the window. Earth turned slowly below them, peaceful and blue. Somewhere out there in the dark, gentle beings who valued all life were about to be enslaved by an empire that saw them as tools. "Send word to President Yoon," she said. "This needs to go to the top." President Yoon Jae-min had been leader of humanity for 6 years. He was a good man who hated war but understood sometimes it was necessary. When he read the report about the Villani, he called an emergency meeting of the Earth Council. The council chamber was full of arguing voices. Foreign Minister Kang So-young wanted to send diplomats first. "We don't know enough about this Korthik Empire. We should try to negotiate." Defense Secretary Han Woo-jin disagreed. "Negotiate what? They're slavers. You don't negotiate with people who steal entire species." "But if we send ships, we might start a war," Minister Kang said. "Earth isn't ready for a fight with a galactic empire." "Earth is never ready," Secretary Han replied. But we fight anyway when it's right. President Yoon listened to the arguments for an hour. Finally, he held up his hand for silence. I keep thinking about something, he said quietly. These Villani. People argued about helping Captain Kim. Some of them wanted to stay safe. But in the end, they chose to help a stranger because it was the right thing to do. The room waited. If we don't help them now, what does that make us? They saved one of our people. How can we do less for them? Dr. Choi Soo-jin spoke up from her seat. Mr. President, I've studied the scans. The Villani won't survive as a species much longer. Their population is too small. This might be our only chance to save them. And if we don't, Secretary Han added, the Korthic Empire gets technology that could threaten every free world in the galaxy. President Yoon made his decision. Send word to Fleet Command. We're going to help them. Back at Bizen Station, Captain Kim Tae-ho was preparing for another mapping mission when Admiral Park called him to his office. Son, I have news. The President has authorized a response to help your crystal friends. Tae-ho felt his heart jump. A response, sir? You're not going back alone to warn them. Fleet Commander Lee is mobilizing something much bigger. How much bigger? Admiral Park smiled grimly. Every ship we have? Across human space, the message went out to every world, every station, every fleet. It was simple and clear. They helped one human. Humanity answers with everything. On Mars, the shipyards worked day and night to prepare vessels for war. On Titan, miners welded weapons onto their industrial ships. On Europa, the orbital defense platforms emptied their crews into troop transports. Captain Chun Minho of the destroyer Dagu's Blade read the message to his crew. We're going to save some people who saved one of ours. Any questions? There were no questions. There was only the sound of weapons being loaded and engines warming up. Commander Ru Ya-young, captain of the carrier New Seoul, looked at her pilots. How many of you would want someone to come help you if you were in trouble? Every hand went up. Then we know what we have to do. Fleet Admiral Kim Soo-ho, Tae-ho's older brother, stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the largest fleet in human history gather in space. Ships came from every corner of human territory. Warships and freighters, military vessels, and civilian craft converted for fighting. Sir, his aide said, we have 1,247 ships ready to jump. That's almost everything we have. Good, Admiral Kim said. It's not enough, but it's everything. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Kim. We're going to help some people who helped us. They saved my brother's life and now their family. When we get there, we're going to show this Korthic Empire what happens when you threaten our family. Captain Kim Tae-ho sat in his small ship, now part of the massive fleet. The harmonic crystal sat on his control panel, humming softly. He thought about Elder Velinara and Captain Velthan, probably not knowing that death was coming for them. Hold on, he whispered to the crystal. We're coming. In the Vila sector, Elder Velinara stood in her crystal garden and felt a strange trembling in the harmonic fields. Something was coming. Something big. She touched the wall and sent a thought to Captain Velthan. The human we saved. I think he kept his promise. What promise? He said he wouldn't forget. Above them, the first Korthic scout ships entered their system and the death of the Villani began. War Marshal Grakthal stood on the bridge of his flagship, Bloodfang, and smiled. His massive fleet of 200 warships surrounded the peaceful Villani worlds like wolves around sheep. The crystal beings had no real weapons, no armies, no way to fight. Back. Perfect, he growled to his second-in-command. These crystal people will make excellent slaves. Their technology will make our weapons stronger. Their telepathy will let us control our empire better. The Korthak were a race built for war. They looked like giant lizards walking on two legs with thick scales and sharp teeth. They had conquered 12 species already, turning them into workers and soldiers for the Korthic Empire. War Marshal, his communications officer said, the crystal people are trying to talk to us. Put them through. I want to hear them beg. Elder Velinara's voice came through the speakers, musical and sad. Great ones, we mean you no harm. We are a peaceful people. Please leave us in peace. Grateful laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Peace? There is no peace in this galaxy, Crystal Woman. Only the strong and the weak. You are weak, so you will serve us. We will not fight you, Elder Velinara said. But we will not be your slaves either. Then you will die, Grateful said simply. All of you, unless you surrender in 1 hour. He cut the connection and turned to his fleet commanders. Begin the bombardment of their cities. Show them what happens to those who refuse the Korthic Empire. On Vila Prime, the main Villani world, Elder Velinara gathered the Council of Voices. In their crystal chamber, the 12 eldest Villani stood in a circle, their crystalline bodies glowing with worry and fear. The Dark Ones give us 1 hour, Velinara said. Then they will destroy our cities. We cannot fight them, said Elder Velcorin. We have no weapons. We chose long ago to live without violence. But we cannot surrender, added Elder Velmyra. They will use our people as tools. Our children will grow up as slaves. Captain Velfin entered the chamber, his crystal body flickering with urgent blue light. Elders, I have prepared our small fleet, 12 exploration ships. We will try to protect the cities. Elder Velinara touched his arm gently. Brave Captain, your ships are made for discovering new worlds, not for war. They will destroy you in minutes. Then we will die protecting our people, Velfin said firmly. It is better than living as slaves. The Villani had no choice. Their philosophy of peace had kept them safe for thousands of years, but now it meant they could not defend themselves. They were like flowers facing a firestorm. There is something else, Elder Velinara said quietly. I feel a trembling in the harmonic fields. Something large is moving through space toward us. The human we saved, Elder Velcorin said. Do. You think he told his people about us? I hope so, Velinara said. But even if he did, what could they do? We are too far from their worlds. High above them, Captain Velfin led his tiny fleet into space. His ships were beautiful things of crystal and light, but they carried only mining tools and scientific equipment. Against 200 Korthic warships, they were like birds flying into a hurricane. All ships, he said to his 11 captains, we know. We cannot win, but we can show our people that someone tried to protect them, for the light of Vila. For the light of Vila, came the reply from all ships. The first Korthic attack came without warning. Plasma cannons lit up space as the lizard ships fired on the Villani cities. Beautiful crystal towers that had stood for 10,000 years cracked and fell. Gardens of living light died in explosions of fire. Velfin's fleet charged forward, their harmonic weapons barely scratching the thick armor of the Korthic ships. One by one, the crystal vessels shattered like glass under the enemy's guns. Within 10 minutes, only 3 Villani ships remained. Captain Velfin's own vessel was badly damaged, leaking atmosphere and power. But he kept fighting, firing his weak weapons at the massive enemy fleet. War Marshal Grakethal watched the pathetic battle with boredom. These crystal people die too easily. There's no sport in it. Finish them off and prepare the landing troops. His gunners aimed their weapons at the last 3 Villani ships. In seconds it would all be over. 50,000 peaceful beings would be dead or enslaved, and the galaxy would lose another species to the Korthic Empire's hunger. Then space itself seemed to tear open. The first human ships came out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Captain Chun Minho's scout force of 47 vessels appeared like silver daggers against the stars. They were small ships, fast and deadly, built for reconnaissance and quick strikes. Unknown vessels, Captain Chun broadcast on all frequencies. This is the Earth Defense Force. Identify yourselves immediately. War Marshal Grakethal stared at his screens in confusion. Humans? What are humans doing here? My intelligence says they are a weak species with primitive ships. His communication officer shrugged. Should we destroy them, War Marshal? 47 ships against our 200? This will be amusing. Open fire. But before the Korthic could fire, space tore open again. This time, something much larger came through. Admiral Park Yunji's battle fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 300 human warships arranged themselves in a wall of steel and weapons. The massive carrier New Sol led the formation, its fighter bays already opening to release swarms of small attack craft. Captain Shindong-wook's destroyer squadron flanked the formation, their missile tubes loaded and ready. The human fleet moved with the precision of a machine, each ship knowing exactly where to go and what to do. War Marshal Grateful's confidence cracked. 300 ships was still fewer than his 200, but these human vessels looked dangerous. They bristled with weapons and moved like predators hunting prey. War Marshal, his sensor officer said, his voice shaking, I'm detecting more hyperspace. Signatures, many more. Grateful looked at his screens and felt fear for the first time in years. The space around his fleet was lighting up with incoming ships. Hundreds of them, thousands. The third wave of humanity's response materialized like a metal storm. Fleet Admiral Kim Soo-ho led 900 additional vessels of every type imaginable. Battleships and carriers, destroyers and cruisers, mining ships converted to weapons platforms, colony vessels turned into troop transports. The human fleet stretched across space like a constellation of anger. Mining barges from the asteroid belt floated next to sleek warships from Earth's home fleet. Converted freighters sailed alongside the newest battle cruisers. Rich worlds and poor colonies had all sent everything they could spare. Commander Ru Yeo Young's voice crackled across all frequencies, speaking in perfect Korthik language. This is the United Earth Defense Fleet. You are attacking beings under our protection. Leave immediately or face the consequences. War Marshal Grateful's mouth fell open. Over 1,000 human ships surrounded his fleet. Where his intelligence had promised him a weak, scattered species, he found a unified armada that outnumbered him 5-1. How? He whispered. How did they mobilize so fast? How did they know to come here? His communication officer, now pale with fear, said, War Marshal, they're waiting for our response. Grateful looked at the human fleet. He had never seen so many ships in one place. Even the mighty Korthik Empire would need months to gather. Such a force. These humans had done it in weeks. His pride made the decision for him. We are Korthik. We do not retreat from anyone. All ships attack. The first shots came from his own flagship. Plasma bolts lanced out toward the human fleet, lighting up space with deadly fire. Fleet Admiral Kim Soo-ho watched the enemy fire streak toward his ships and felt a cold anger settle in his chest. These lizard people wanted to enslave the gentle beings who had saved his brother's life. All ships, he said calmly, you are free to engage. Show them what happens when you threaten our family. The Battle of Vila Prime began with a roar that shook the stars themselves. Human weapons lit up the darkness as over 1,000 ships opened fire at once. The Korthik had started this fight, but humanity would finish it. Captain Velthan, floating in his damaged ship, watched in amazement as the humans came to save them. One crystal being they had helped, and 1,000 ships had come in return. Elder Velinara, he whispered into his radio, I think we chose the right human to save. The battle raged across the Vila system like a storm of fire and metal. War Marshal Grateful had expected an easy victory over weak crystal beings. Instead, he found himself fighting for his life against the largest fleet he had ever seen. The humans fought like nothing the Korthik had ever faced. Their ships moved in perfect coordination, each one covering the others. When Korthik plasma bolts destroyed one human vessel, 2 more would take its place, firing with cold precision. Captain Lee Seung-jin led his fighter squadrons through the enemy fleet like deadly birds. His small ships danced between the massive Korthik warships, striking at weak points and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Blue Squadron, target their weapon systems, he called to his pilots. Red Squadron, go for their engines, make them helpless. The human fighters were tiny compared to the Korthik ships, but they were fast and smart. They worked together like a pack of wolves, striking and running, always moving, never staying still long enough to be caught. Admiral Hang Ji-soo commanded the artillery platforms from her flagship Bizen's Thunder. Her ships stayed back from the main battle, using their long-range weapons to pick off enemy vessels with devastating accuracy. Target the ship marked Alpha 7, she ordered. Full spread all tubes. A wall of missiles streaked across space, each one guided by human computers and human hatred for bullies. The Korthek ship tried to turn away, but it was too late. The missiles struck like hammers, tearing through armor and destroying the vessel in a ball of fire. But the Korthek were not helpless. They had conquered 12 species and knew how to fight. Their ships were tough and their weapons were powerful. Human vessels died too, brave crews sacrificing themselves to protect the Villani. The battle turned when Captain Kim Hyran's stealth ships appeared from nowhere. The Korthek had not seen them coming. Human stealth technology was better than they had expected. Like ghosts in the dark, the invisible ships struck at the enemy's command vessels. Target the flagship, Captain Kim ordered. Bloodfang is their command ship. Kill it and the rest will fall apart. Her ships moved like shadows, using the confusion of battle to get close to War Marshal Grateful's vessel. Their weapons were small but precise, designed to disable rather than destroy. The Bloodfang shuddered as human weapons cut through its communications and navigation systems. Suddenly, War Marshal Grateful could not talk to his fleet or control his own ship. "What's happening?" he roared at his crew. "Where are those shots coming from?" His officers ran around in panic, but they could not find the invisible enemy. The stealth ship struck again, this time hitting the flagship's engines. The massive Korthek vessel began to drift helplessly through space. Sergeant Major Yang Junsu and his Marines were waiting in their assault ships. When the enemy flagship went dead in space, they moved in like sharks smelling blood. "All teams, go, go," he shouted as his troops launched from their transports. The Marines used boarding pods to crash through the hull of the Bloodfang. Inside the enemy ship, they fought room by room against desperate Korthek soldiers. The lizard warriors were strong and fierce, but the humans fought with the fury of those protecting their family. Yang Yunsu himself led the charge to the bridge. His rifle blazed as he cut down Korthek guards who tried to stop him. Behind him, his Marines followed with the unstoppable determination that had made human soldiers feared across the galaxy. "Surrender," Yang shouted as he kicked open the bridge door. "You're finished." War Marshal Grateful stood in the center of his ruined bridge, his scaled hands reaching for a weapon. Around him, his officers were dead or dying. The great Korthek fleet was being destroyed by humans he had thought were weak and primitive. "I am Korthek," he snarled. "I do not surrender to anyone." Yang's rifle was pointed at the War Marshal's head. "Then you die." "Your choice." For a moment, Grateful considered fighting to the death. Then he looked at the screens showing his fleet being torn apart by human weapons. Ship after ship exploded or surrendered. His great armada was becoming a field of wreckage. His pride broke at last. I surrender, smart choice," Yang said, not lowering his weapon. "You're now a prisoner of the United Earth Defense Force. You're going to learn what happens to bullies who pick on our friends." Across the battlefield, the remaining Korthek ships saw their commander's flagship go dark. Without orders, without hope, they began to surrender one by one. Some tried to run, but human ships were faster and caught them before they could escape. Captain Chen Minho's scouts hunted down the fleeing enemy vessels like hounds chasing rabbits. "This is Captain Chen to all Korthek ships. Surrender now or be destroyed. You started this fight, but we're going to finish it." The battle lasted 6 hours. When the smoke cleared, 847 human ships remained operational. Some were damaged, some had lost crew members, but they had won. The Korthek fleet was gone, destroyed, captured, or fleeing in broken pieces. Fleet Admiral Kim Suho stood on his bridge and looked at the peaceful Villani worlds below. The crystal cities were damaged but not destroyed. The gentle people who had saved his brother were safe. "All ships, stand down from combat," he ordered. "Medical teams to assist any survivors. Rescue teams to help the Villani with repairs." Captain Kim Taeho's small ship flew toward Vila Prime, the harmonic crystal on his control panel glowing brighter than ever. He thought about Elder Velinara and Captain Velfin, wondering if they were still alive. His radio crackled with a familiar musical voice. "Human Captain, Taeho, is that you?" Captain Velthan? Teho almost shouted with joy. You're alive! Barely, my ship is damaged, but I live. How did you bring so many ships? We saved one human. You brought an entire fleet. Teho smiled, tears running down his cheeks. You saved one of us. That made you family. And humans protect their family. On the surface of Villa Prime, Elder Velanara stood in her damaged crystal garden and watched human ships fill the sky. They had come like angels of war to save her people, bringing death to their enemies and hope to the Villani. I was right, she whispered to the harmonic winds. One life saved does echo through infinity. Captain Velthan's damaged ship was guided to safety by human rescue vessels. As he stepped aboard Fleet Admiral Kim Soho's flagship, he saw something that amazed him. The human commander looked exactly like the captain they had saved, only older. You are Teho's brother, Velthan said in wonder. I am, Admiral Kim replied. And you are the one who saved him. That makes you family too. The crystal being's light pulsed with emotions he had no words for. These humans had crossed the galaxy to save people they had never met, just because those people had helped one of their own. We are in your debt, Velthan said. No, Admiral Kim said firmly. You saved my brother when you had no reason to help. That means we're even. More than even, it means we're friends. As human medical teams worked alongside Villani healers to treat the wounded, as human engineers helped repair the crystal cities, as human diplomats began planning a formal alliance, one thing became clear to everyone watching. The galaxy had just learned what happened when someone showed kindness to a human. They remembered, they came back, and they brought friends. War Marshal Grakthal, sitting in a human prison cell, kept asking the same question over and over. How did they know? How did they care so much about strangers? His human guard, a young Marine from Earth, answered simply, because that's what family does for family. And they made those crystal people family the moment they helped one of ours. The age of the Villani hiding in fear was over. The age of the human-Villani alliance had begun. 3 days after the battle, Elder Velanara walked through the corridors of Fleet Admiral Kim Soho's flagship. The human ship was so different from Villani vessels, made of metal and circuits instead of crystal and light. But she could feel something similar in both designs. They were built by people who cared about each other. She found the Admiral on his bridge, staring out at the stars. Around them, human and Villani ships worked together to clean up the wreckage of battle and repair the damaged crystal cities below. Admiral Kim, she said, her voice like gentle music, may I speak with you? The Admiral turned and bowed slightly. The way Captain Teho had taught him was respectful to the Villani. Of course, Elder. What can I do for you? I want to understand. She said, my people saved one human. You brought over 1,000 ships to save us. This does not seem balanced. Admiral Kim smiled. Elder, you don't understand how humans think. When someone helps us, really helps us when they don't have to, they become family, and we protect our family with everything we have. But the cost, Velanara said. Your people died in the battle. Your ships were damaged, all for strangers you had never met. Not strangers, the Admiral said firmly. You saved my brother's life. That makes you my sister. Your people are my people now. Elder Velanara's crystalline form glowed with wonder. These humans were so strange, so fierce in battle, but so gentle in friendship. They had risked their entire fleet to save people they barely knew. Captain Kim Tae-ho joined them on the bridge. His uniform was torn from helping with rescue operations, but his eyes were bright with joy. The people who had saved him were alive and safe. Elder, he said, I have news from Dr. Choi Soo-jin. She's been working with your healers. The human doctor who studies life? Velanara asked. Yes, she thinks she can help with your people's genetic problem. Human medicine combined with Villani. Healing techniques might save your species. Velanara felt hope bloom in her chest like a flower opening to sunlight. For thousands of years, the Villani had been slowly dying out. Their small population meant their children were weak and often sick. They had accepted that their species would eventually fade away. How? she whispered. Dr. Choi Soo-jin entered the bridge, carrying a tablet full of data. She was a small woman with kind eyes and gentle hands that had saved many lives. Elder Velanara, she said, your people's crystals store genetic information differently than our DNA, but we think we can use human medical techniques to strengthen your genetic patterns. It won't be easy, but it's possible. What do you need from us? Velanara asked. Partnership, Dr. Choi said simply. We share our medicine, you share your crystal healing. Together we might save your species and help both our peoples live longer, healthier lives. Elder Velanara touched her chest where Vellani kept their most important memories. A human doctor was offering to save her entire species, asking for nothing but friendship in return. We accept, she said, with joy and gratitude. 6 months later, the first permanent human base orbited Vela Prime, Joint Defense Station Alpha, was commanded by Captain Moon Seo Jun, with 50 human ships always ready to protect the Vellani worlds. The station was a marvel of cooperation. Human engineers worked with Vellani crystal shapers to build something that was both practical and beautiful. The walls hummed with harmonic energy that made everyone feel peaceful, while human technology provided strength and protection. Captain Kim Tae-ho had become something special, the first human to undergo Vellani harmonic bonding. The process connected his mind partially to the crystal network that linked all Vellani together. Now he could speak with them without words, feeling their thoughts and emotions directly. It's incredible, he told his brother during one of their regular communications. I can feel their whole society. They really do care about every living thing. When one of them is hurt, they all feel pain. When one is happy, they all share joy. Does it hurt? Admiral Kim asked, worried about his younger brother. No, it's beautiful, like being part of a family that includes everyone. The harmonic bonding made Tae-ho the perfect ambassador between the two species. He helped humans understand Vellani customs and explained human emotions to the crystal beings who found them strange but fascinating. The alliance grew stronger every day. Human colonies received Vellani harmonic crystals that provided clean, unlimited energy. Vellani worlds gained human protection and medical care that would ensure their species survived and grew. Ambassador Lee Ji-yoon established the Vel-Human Cultural Exchange, bringing artists and scientists from both species together. Human musicians learned to create music from light itself, while Vellani artists discovered the power of human emotional expression. The galaxy began to take notice of the strange partnership. Other species had heard about the Battle of Vela Prime, where humans had sent their entire fleet to save aliens they barely knew, the Andromedae. Trade Consortium decided to test human resolve. They were bullies who used economic pressure to control smaller species. When human merchant ships began trading in their territory, the consortium tried their usual tactics of intimidation and unfair pricing. They were shocked when Vellani harmonic ships appeared alongside human vessels, their crystal hulls glowing with defensive energy. The traders who had expected to push around isolated humans found themselves facing a united alliance. Captain Park Kyung-min, commanding the merchant escort Gangnam's Pride, broadcast a simple message. The Vellani are our allies. Attack them. You attack us. Cheat them, you cheat us. We remember our friends and we remember our enemies. The consortium backed down quickly. Word spread through the galaxy. Humans and their crystal allies were not to be underestimated. War Marshal Grakthal, serving his sentence on a human rehabilitation colony, often spoke to other prisoners about what he had learned. I thought I was conquering 50,000 weak crystal beings, he would say. Instead, I met 12 billion humans who called those beings family. The humans could have destroyed us all, but instead they gave us a chance to learn. They are not like other species. They fight like demons when angry, but they show mercy when victory is won. The rehabilitation colony was itself an example of human thinking. Instead of simply executing or enslaving their prisoners, humans tried to teach them better ways to live. Some prisoners, like Grakthal, actually learned. My empire conquered. Through fear, the former war marshal admitted. These humans conquer through friendship. Which do you think lasts longer? 2 years after the battle, Elder Velanara stood in the new crystal gardens of Vila Prime. The damaged areas had been rebuilt, combining Villani beauty with human engineering. The result was breathtaking crystal spires that hummed with harmonic energy. Surrounded by parks where human and Villani children played together, the first generation of genetically strengthened Villani children were growing up healthy and strong. Dr. Choi Soo-jin's medical partnership was working. The Villani species would not only survive but thrive. Captain Kim Tae-ho found her there, watching the sunset paint the crystal city in shades of gold and silver. Regrets? He asked, settling down beside the ancient elder. About saving you. Velanara's crystals chimed with gentle laughter. Never, though I admit, I never expected one rescued human to bring such changes to our world. My people have a saying, Tae-ho said. One stone dropped in still water makes ripples that reach the shore. We have a similar saying, one act of kindness echoes through infinity. They sat together in comfortable silence, human and Villani, watching their peoples work and play together in the crystal gardens. Above them, human and Villani ships patrolled the system in perfect coordination. The sanctuary protocols now protected 17 different species under Terran Villani protection. The Alliance had become a beacon of hope in an often dark galaxy. When peaceful species faced threats from bullies and conquerors, they knew where to ask for help. Fleet Admiral Kim Soo-ho, now commanding the combined defense fleet from his new flagship Solvila Unity, often reminded his officers of how it all started. Remember, he would say, this began because some good people helped a stranger. Never forget that kindness has power. It can change everything. The memorial crystal in the center of Vila Prime's main city bore an inscription in both human languages and Villani light script. One life saved echoes through infinity. One human helped. Humanity answered with everything. The crystal hummed with harmonic energy. Visible from space, a lighthouse of hope powered by the friendship between two species who proved that the universe, despite its darkness, still had room for kindness. Captain Kim Tae-ho, now permanent ambassador to the Villani, often told visitors the simple truth that had started it all. I was stranded and scared. They saved me when they didn't have to. That's what family does, and once you're family with humans, you're family forever. In the end, that was the lesson the galaxy learned. Show kindness to a human, and humanity will remember. Threaten their friends, and they will come with everything they have. Some bonds are forged in crystal and starlight, and nothing in the universe can break them. The age of the Terran Villani Alliance had begun, built on the simple foundation that Elder Velanara had always believed. One act of kindness really could echo through infinity. The end.